What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to my Cyber Dragon Shops deck profile. I haven't made one in a while. The last Cyber Dragon video that I made was a deck profile on Cyber Dragon Runic, and before that I made like a generic Cyber Dragon compilation of combos, but you know, I haven't really done anything that was like Cyber Dragon Shops related, and I know people really want me to make a video on that because that is what I am known for. Actually, I am the creator of Cyber Dragon Shops. And I managed to go all the way to top 8 at YCS Niagara of 2019 with this deck. All you really need to win is contact fusing. It's the best mechanic ever. And I really do believe that it has nice applications in pretty much any given format as long as you can contact fuse, because that is really how you're breaking boards nowadays. You're really not trying to go like Kaiju and then OTK. It's just, this is like a luxury that you can only afford when your hand is good and then when your opponent's hand is like not that great. But the majority of the time, you're gonna have to like grind it out by going contact fuse and then set a bunch of back rolls, survive, and then control the pace of the game from there. So today I'll show you guys the deck profile, but before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe. Check me out on Twitch and Instagram. If this video can get to 1,000 likes, and I know we can do it, I will make a live stream on this deck. So please, please, please smash the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys, and now let's jump right into it. Alright, so I'm only playing one Regulus and no field spell. You don't need the field spell because this is searchable by the graveyard effect of Clockwork Knight anyways. It searches any earth machine from the deck to the hand by banishing itself from the grave, and then you have to discard one card. So you search the Regulus, and then if you have Hurts in your hand, you can discard it and then search like a Cyber Dragon from the deck, or any Cyber Dragon card, well, Cyber Dragon monster from the grave to the hand. So that's really, really nice. And yeah, if you have like a good hand, you can also like double contact fuse with like the Regulus combo, because if you can equip back a Cyber Dragon from the graveyard and put it like in the spell and trap zone, you can contact fuse for a Fortress again, because you don't need like a Cyber Dragon monster for Fortress. It's just Cyber Dragon, and Cyber Dragon, whether it's in the monster zone or the spell and trap zone, is still Cyber Dragon, so you can still make a Fortress with it. And that's something that a lot of people don't actually know. And also, you can recur back the Hurts with the Regulus, so that every single time you negate with it and whatever, you recycle back a card every single time, so you always have recursion. And being able to like have an Omni-Negate in this deck is definitely something I can appreciate. Protect yourself from like Evenly, Duster, etc. So that's it. One Regulus is all you really need, or you can play two Regulus and then one Theory on field spell, so that you can always have recursion. I also think it makes sense, but you might start breaking with the Regulus because it's not really like an engine starter, it's really just an extender. Now for the Cyber Dragons, I'm on one OG, one Fear, one Nexter, and then double Hurts and triple Core. So Cyber Dragon is a brick if you're going first, because it really just doesn't do anything at all. And going second, it's good, but it's not like insane. It's only really good if you have Clockwork Knight, and the issue with Cyber Dragon is that drawing it in duplicates is like very, very bad. You can't really get anything started with it. It's only very nice if the rest of your hand is really good. So one for me is always enough. And then one Fear because you can chain block with the core and then not lose to like annoying negates. And being able to just be like a free extender is also something I like sometimes, but it's not like super needed. So if you want to cut it, you can go ahead and cut that. And then the Nexter is kind of like obvious because you can revive back a bunch of monsters, and even without any other level 5 monster, you can still make Infinity. Yeah, I'm only playing one level 5 machine monster, but that's all I really need because Puzzlomino can adjust the level of a monster, such as the Nexter, to make it level 5, and then you can make Cyber Dragon Nova and into Infinity. And once you properly summon Infinity once, you can start looping it and reviving back with Nexter over and over again. And that's the reason why Infinity is very, very nice in this deck, because, again, you only really need to summon it once to have, like, permanent access to it. And then, obviously, Triple Core doesn't really deserve an explanation. Same thing with Triple Emergency. Triple Prosperity, because the extra deck, for the most part, doesn't really matter that much. Like, you can banish, like, Triple Mega Fleet sometimes and still be good, because a bunch of decks wouldn't really care about the extra monster zone, as long as you don't really touch this Fortress, because now Clockwork Knight makes Fortress the better Chimera tech, whereas before it was the opposite. Mega Fleet was the better one, and Fortress was very niche because it was only really playable against decks that very specifically summoned real machines, but now everything becomes machine, so yeah, it's literally free value. And yeah, speaking of Clockwork Knight, I'm playing 3 copies of this card. I always recommend people to play 3. It's just so good. You can even draw multiples, and it's still good because the first one will bait a negate, and then the second one will actually resolve, and then you break the whole board. And the first one also breaks like another negate, because you can use the effect to like search the Regulus, and now you have a negate for their negate, and they don't really want that, so they might as well just negate that graveyard effect, or the Regulus at least. And then the second one guaranteed to resolve even through like gigantic boards. So yeah, this card is absolutely filthy going first. Going second, but also going first, because Clockwork Knight and Rivalry of the Warlords is a very nasty lock that is very similar to like Zombie World and Rivalry, or like whatever else lock that people have seen. I guess Stealth Kraken and Gozen Match would be like another good comparison. And the final spell card in my deck is Cyberload Fusion, so that you can give this deck a little more juice when you have when you start stabilizing. So the really nice setup that allows you to OTK would be like Seeger, and then Overflow, Banish 2, and then Pop 2, and then Cyberload summon the Rampage, and then your Rampage has 4200 attack because it is boosted by Seeger, and can attack thrice, meaning that you can inflict 12,600 damage with it, and that's pretty much always game. So that's how you kill your opponent. You don't really always control the tempo with Infinity. As a matter of fact, I want to say Infinity is actually worse than Rampage. Rampage and Seeger is really how you're winning almost all of your games, or you're simply going beat down with like your Chimeritic monsters, because they become very, very high attack, very fast. And then for the trap cards, I want to say most of them are very self-explanatory, so triple Imperm, and then double Ice Dragon's Prison, just a good card overall. 2, Weight Measuring. I like this card going second. If your opponent controls at least 2 more monsters than you do, they must send monsters they control to the grave, so they control only 1. So yeah, going second, you can break gigantic boards with that, and against Tier Elements, even if you send like 5 Tier Elements monsters to the grave, none of them will trigger their effects because they weren't sent to the grave by card effect, but rather by game mechanic, because the player, you know, himself had to like make the monsters go to the grave, not like Weight Measuring makes them go to the grave. And that way, you can also clear monsters that are unaffected by card effects. And speaking of monsters that are unaffected by card effects, this deck actually deals very well with your rival Cyberus Adignister, so that if your opponent summons it, you really don't care because it's always in the extra monster zone, so all you have to do is Mega Fleet, and boom, that's it, that's all, you're dead. And for the other traps, 1 Trap Trick, triple Overflow, triple Crackdown, it's just like a decent card, but you really don't have to play Crackdown. Now, one thing that I will say is that Rivalry of the Warlords and Crackdown does work. You can have like only machines and then steal like non-machines, like whatever, a dragon, and then by game mechanic, again, the monster immediately goes to the graveyard. So it's a legal move. A lot of people might think that it's kind of like Ice Dragon's Prison in Rivalry, which is not true. Like, you can't legally use Ice Dragon's Prison because you would try to like summon a monster to the field, but you can't because it doesn't fit like the type of monsters that you have. But Crackdown, you're not summoning any monster, you're just taking control of it, and obviously then on the resolution, it immediately checks Rivalry, and it, you know, it kind of tells you like, oh, by the way, you don't respect it, so you have to send that monster and keep the others because they existed before. Very intricate ruling that, again, a lot of people don't know, and that's the reason why this deck really rewards players for understanding the ruling, understanding how to outplay their opponent. It's a very technical and fun deck to utilize. And then Unending Nightmare is one of my favorite trap cards in this deck by far because you can pop your own Cybernetic Overflow and then always get value off of it, so that you can search Emergency or Cyberload or another Overflow, because yes, Overflow can search Overflow. I know. It's one of those cards. It's kind of like a Kashtira Fenrir that can search Fenrir. Sometimes you're just like reading a card and you're like, there is no way you can actually search yourself. Like most cards, they always say like, search something except itself. But yeah, for some reason, this really isn't like that. Yeah, anyways, triple Rivalry, obviously this card is broken going second, and you're only playing machine monsters, so you really don't have to care. And finally, triple Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike also allowing you to protect yourself from like hand traps or whatever, can guarantee that your emergency resolves through like an Ash or something, because Ash is the best hand trap against this deck, and that is very unfortunate. But anyways, for the cards in the main deck, the extra deck, very self-explanatory as well. Triple Mega Fleet, triple Fortress, and then 1 Rampage, Infinity Nova. Seeger, Lina, very nice. You can crash the Lina and then Surge the Core because it has exactly 1500 defense. So sometimes your hands are garbage, and you can go like Ice Dragon's Prison and Crackdown, and then link the 2 monsters that you stole from your opponent into a Lina, crash it, and get your stuff going. So, you know, these cards can be consistency cards on top of being interruptions, and I really, really like that. And obviously Elf, because, you know, Core is a level 2 monster. Obviously Puzzlomino, Relinquish Tanima, as well as the El Mirage, because Core can turn into El Mirage so that you can have a machine in the grave for the Regulus, and then Relinquish Tanima because of the Hurts and also the Nexture. And the idea section, just a bunch of cards that I'm going to go over real quick. So Nibiru, Jizukiru, Pankratops, Mana Dragons, Zornitrion, that's not really good anymore. Lord of the Heavenly Prison is better. Inspector Border, Thunder King Ryo, Zeus, the Train Package, Downerd with Sky Cavalry, Santoria, Heatwave, Forbidden Droplet, the Ethereon Field Spell, as well as Evenly. So that's it for this deck profile. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.